Welcome, Bill, to the 14th episode of Unleash the Knowledge's mini-series titled 15 Minutes with Owen. It's a pleasure having you here. As we spoke about right before we started recording, you're a Jersey guy, I'm a Jersey guy. It's great to connect, and very excited to hop into some questions and give the audience some great value.
Yeah, Jersey guys are out there doing things,
Oh,
making things happen.
Humble beginnings, and we're making some noise. So let me start the timer right now. We'll respect your time and we'll get some fun questions going.
Okay.
So Bill, quickly, for those that may not know who you are or just hearing about you, can you share a little bit about your background and kind of what you do in the current day to spend, how you spend your time?
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Jersey City, from Jersey City to the University of Iowa, Iowa to New York City to Texas, energy, hedge fund trading, modicum of success, kind of do small investments, made some movies, having fun, traveling. And, throughout my career, chasing that dollar, trying to make money, I've always had varying questions about what should I do with my money? What is it for? How do I get the most out of it? When should I spend it, et cetera? Like, how do I get the most out of my life? And those conversations, discussions, debates, and kind of epiphanies from other sources led to this book.
Awesome. So yes, you're the best-selling author of Die with Zero. Fantastic book, amazing perspective on life. A guy like yourself coming from the finance world, you probably won't find many people with maybe that perspective, or at least to write a book about it, to really put your name out there for it. But thank you for writing it. It was fantastic. I will continue to push it out to all of my followers. I'm curious to ask, and I know you talk about it a little bit in the book, that you've kind of been working with this message for many years now, telling friends, talking with family. Can you just speak on maybe the timeline of inception of idea to actually writing the book and then publishing it?
Yeah, I guess the inception started way, way, way back. I read a book called Your Money or Your Life by Dominguez and Vicki Robin, and it kind of changed my. You got it up there. It's one of my all-time favorite books. It kind of changed my relationship with money and thinking about, wow, I'm exchanging hours of my life for money. And what is it for? Obviously first it's for survival, but after that, it's for the things I want to do, the experiences I want to have, right? The first experience I want to have is survival. And so I really wanted to get levered up, right? Like I took away, that book launched a movement in being frugal, but I took it the other way. It launched a movement inside of me to lever up, to get as many hours as possible of other people's time versus my time, right? Because I just converted everything into time. But I was like, but what is it for? Like, what experiences do I want to have? You know what I mean? Like when I first started making, I was kind of on autopilot, like, oh, this is what rich guys are supposed to do. But I didn't really like it. And so, over time, I began thinking, I was like, well, if you want to get the most out of your life, you need to convert your money and spend it all up before you die, right? Like, makes no sense spending hours of my life going to work for money that I'm never going to use, right? That'd be wasting my time, right? I like what I do, and I don't particularly love it. It's not like I was 7 years old. Like, I can't wait to get in the office and scalp option deltas or something like that, right? Like, that's not what life is about for me. So I was like, okay, but how do you use it up? What's the curve? What's the right time to use it up? And so on. And I as I was growing up in the trading world and seeing, older rich people, I was very ageist. And I used to think, oh, that's nice that they're rich, but they're old. What can they do with the money? You know what I mean? Like, obviously they were my age now, right? Like I was 21, 22.
Right.
And I had the magnitude wrong, but I had the direction right. And basically it goes like this: is essentially as your body, mind, and attitudes change, right? As they begin to decay, the available activities and the enjoyment of experiences decays with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts to decay so rapidly at a certain point, you can't earn enough money, right? In order to delay gratification, right? If you, if I played sports in high school and in college, but the memory of playing sports is greater than playing sports today.
Right.
Right. I'm going to pull a hamstring. I'm going to be injured. I'm going to hate it. Right. But I still have fond memories of sports from back in the day. And that means those experiences were meant for then. If I delayed those experiences to now, it'd be too late. And you know, I think anybody who's in their 40s or 50s, they know this. There are certain activities that, you know, I used to walk this when I go into a city. I like, you love to walk around a city, walk 12 miles a day. Now it's about 8. You know what I mean? It's not that I can't walk the 12 miles. It's just not enjoyable, you know? And so I'm getting less of an experience out of it, right? And so I'm trying to time and match the consumption of experience, which means turning cash into experiences. And these experiences could be charitable giving. They could be whatever they are. It doesn't necessarily have to be travel or hedonistic experiences. I just love to use those as examples. I want to match that with my health so that I perfectly optimize my experience on this planet. Right.
Awesome.
And so I've been debating this and blathering about this, and you can tell for for years about like, how do I optimize my life? Like, and so, you know, kind of happenstance, I came into this life cycle modeling, right? There's a lot of books on goal setting. You want to make $1 million? There's a ton of books on how to make $1 million, right? You want to do this, et cetera. But my book is more like the totality of your life from now, whatever age you are, to the grave. How do I optimize my life and get the most out of it?
Gotcha. Yeah, and I love the concept of time bucketing. You know, I'm 24 years old right now, so I'm very young. I'm low on money, high on time, high on experience. But there's things, you know, today that I might not be able to do in 10 years. And then there's things maybe when I'm 50 that I can't quite do right now financially with that kind of idea of it. So that concept is very important. And that's a whole mindset change, because that kind of allows you to, you know, make the right purchases now, make the right investments now, take that trip now if you can. And you know, it really is a lifestyle of some sort, a full mindset. So I'm glad that you touched upon that. So here's a personal question that I've been thinking about, and back to the roots of Jersey City and someone that has reached the level of success that you have. What is there some sort of advice that you wish you can give your 20-year-old self right now, that all that you've obtained to kind of push them forward? Maybe you were struggling then, or anything that comes to mind in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the funny thing is, it's a little off topic, but it is actually dead on topic when you talk about experiences. And one of the things I would tell my 20-year-old self is, one, forgive people, don't hold grudges, you know, because, you know, you always regret this guy, that guy, this girl, blah, 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 and act with kindness first, you know. And the reason why, like, it's like, why is that on topic? It sounds like very, like, you know, is this a spiritual conversation, whatever? But this book is about experiences, and one of the biggest determinants of my happiness has been my interpersonal relationships. And had I responded with kindness and forgiveness first, I would have had a much more enjoyable experience of my 20s, 30s, my younger self, than I did. Right. And so, and it sucked a lot of energy out of me and a lot of focus out of me by not doing that. And so it doesn't sound financial, but it is, right? Because you spend a lot of money trying to make yourself happy or have these experiences, when you can just control your emotions and react with kindness first, and you will have a much better experience in life.
That's very powerful. And by all means, I mean, I treat this book really, it's a life book. You know, it's not a finance book necessarily. It's not a mindset book. It's like, well, it is a kind of a mindset book. It's just a way you should carry yourself on a daily basis. And what you just said really kind of ties right into this. So I know we talked a little bit about the book already, and I touched upon the time buckets, but if someone were to just come across the book in Barnes & Noble, on my page, on your page, can you sum it up into a one takeaway that you're hoping that the reader can gain, maybe in a sentence or two?
Yeah, wow, sentence or two. I would say the book is about net fulfillment over net worth. It's about getting off autopilot, planning out and modeling your life. If you model your life, right, you're not going to do it perfectly. If you think about each period, you're going to get more out of it than just kind of autopilot. Oh, go to work, make money, save money, you know, wait till I retire, do these experiences, right? You're going to look back and be like, I regret this, I regret that. Why didn't I think about this, etc. That's what the book is about. Net fulfillment over net worth. It's about life cycle modeling your life to get the most out of it.
Love that. That's awesome stuff. Now, maybe a question to piggyback on that. for that 20, 30-year-old still establishing themselves in their careers, low on the financial aspect, but wants to experience these true, wants to experience something that's going to pay these memory dividends down the road. And perhaps those events do cost money. What can you speak on that, as far as, I know you speak a little bit that you eventually will have to trade time for money. That's life. Maybe that's your 20s, your 30s. But maybe what's maybe a mindset kind of change that person should have, or a vision that will help them kind of get through those years to really see that, there's light at the end of the tunnel where they can have these amazing experiences that do cost maybe a higher price.
Yeah, I think one of the things is get in touch with what you really want, right? Like really, like you so advertised and swayed on what you want. But once you identify it, the one thing I always tell people is that no matter where I go, there's somebody doing the same trip, the same experience for like 1/1000th the cost, right? They don't have the nicer room with the so-and-so, but they're at the same place. They're seeing the same Pompeii, the same whatever, and they did it for a lot less, right? Like pennies, right? And so I think that, there's optimizations within optimizations, right? And so I'm at the level where it's like, I don't spend the time optimizing, right? I could, right? I could go to the points guy and find out what the super saver is and couch surf and do X, Y, and Z. And those experiences are very rich. And I think when you're in that bucket of like, hey, I'm low money and I need to couch surf and I need to do this, take that adventure while you can. Because there will come a certain point where you'll look back and you'll romanticize that time where you did it against all odds. You did it on a shoestring budget. And you've had this wonderful experience and you wish you could recreate that. But now that you're older and too bougie, you won't. Right? Like, and you're missing out, those type of experiences, the youth hostel experience, the backpacking experience, the cheap way experience, they're out there, people are doing it. You can just look at all the gap year students traveling all over the world from Europe, they're doing these things. Right. And so if what you want, if there's something that you want, an experience you want to have, don't take no for an answer right off the way. There is a way for it to be done. It may not be the gilded way that, some of the older people are doing and servants and valets, et cetera. But hey, they're still seeing Pompeii just like you. You know what I mean? And actually you get to walk around more Pompeii because my old ass will be too tired, right? And you're going to see more Pompeii than me, right? So you're probably going to have a better experience, even though it's lower budget.
That's a great point. And I think you make a point in the book where the best experiences don't have to cost a lot of money, even regardless of international travel. Maybe that might be a local concert or a nature walk of some sort. There's so many more experiences out there that don't have to, run your bank account into the ground or even cost some sort of money to really get out there and experience it. So
no, like hanging out with your friends, organizing something where it's a game night or a picnic or a hike or something like that. There's tons of things that are going on. Like one of the things that was interesting when I lived on the East Coast in New York City is that I didn't take advantage of New York City until somebody visited me. And then I would be like, oh yeah, there's this and there's this free thing in the park and there's Shakespeare in the park and there's this so-and-so and there's this and there's that. And I'd take them all around and I'd look up the things, et cetera. But when I was there, I was on autopilot. I get on the 2 and 3 train, head down the World Trade Center, go be a screen clerk, et cetera. And so it took other people's on vacation, wanting to do things to like snap me out of my routines to actually enjoy what was going on. And so, take the time to sit down and realize all the resources that are around you that you could take advantage of while you're young.
Absolutely. And even though the past few months have been tough for probably, the majority of people with COVID, for me personally, it's been a massive self-reflection period. It's allowed me to slow down. I just came from 6 years of college basketball where your own health is completely on the back burner. You're worrying about the coaches, you're worrying about the players, you're making sure they're in the right spot. But since leaving and since coming home, I've done exactly that. Been able to kind of be where my feet are, be present, and kind of plan out the next step. So that advice is paramount to the current moment, but also to any given moment in time. I have 3 questions that I ask everybody that I like to close off with. First one is, what's still unwritten for you? I know you've accomplished far more than probably many people, but is there anything, any goal, any dream that you're still looking to accomplish?
I mean, I have two daughters, and I want to see them off to college, and so that to me is like my number one goal is like, all right, how do I get two strong, independent women into the world, with enough to make their own mistakes and live their own adventure without me there. So that's one. I mean, in terms of like, um, I don't have any kind of like financial goals or whatever, but I have like my goals. Like I would like to be fluent in another language very well, you
Cool.
know, things like that. I'd like to be able to play piano, things, just personal things. I don't have any like monster goals, but there are some bigger goals where I like to play a part in helping solve some of the problems in the world today. It doesn't it can be local. It could be conflicts in regions in Africa. There could be starving famine. These are very big, ambitious goals that I have, but I'm usually just a cog in the wheel. I just want to play. You know what I mean? Nobody does anything great alone. And so I realize that everybody has a part to play in life, and I have to get in my part with respect to, solving these big issues. And I want to be an important cog in a wheel of solving some of those problems.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you and seeing what you can do. There's probably so much help that is needed in many areas. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you already have a good idea of where you're looking to go. I know you mentioned Your Money or Your Life. Is there any other book that always comes across your way that you always gift others that maybe you keep rereading, other than your own book, that you can share with the audience?
Yeah. I mean, the number one book I always recommend is The Four Agreements above every single book. If a trader says, hey, what book should I read about trading? I go, The Four Agreements. You know what I mean? It's like The Four Agreements, The Four Agreements, The Four Agreements. That's the number one book I recommend. Your Money or Your Life, A Brief History of Financial Euphoria. It's about bubbles and financial leverage gone wrong by John Kenneth Galbraith. Those are books. And then, I have other books like East of Eden and Team of Rivals, historical books. But by far, there's not even a close second. The Four Agreements is the number one book.
It's a fantastic recommendation. I read it this year. It's super short. Anyone can sit through it. There's no excuse to not read it, because most people that don't want to read, they're like, oh, I can't sit through a book.
Right.
My mind goes elsewhere. But those are four principles that everyone should digest and completely implement into their lives. So thank you for the recommendation. Last question.
The agreements part I reread all the time. So yeah.
Exactly. It could be a book. I mean, by far it should be a quarterly read. If not every 2 months, it should be a refresher. So that's great stuff. Is there a personal mantra that you live by? Is there a message you say to yourself right when you hop out of bed to maybe allow you to conquer the day or of some sort?
I think like personal mantra, like the things I always say is like half a life is showing up. Just half a life is just show up. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to be that great. You're going to suck at it. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to whatever. But if you're trying and you're showing up, you've conquered half of it. Right. And then if you get a 50 on the rest, you're 75, you passed, it's like, so it's like half a life is showing up. I also adopted one I read this book called Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. It's a good book, and I picked it up from him. Is every day wake up, today's going to be a great day. Just wake up, today's going to be a great day. Even if it's like shit's going wrong, it's like today's going to be a great day somehow. Some way it's going to be a great day. And it actually helps, change my attitude and shift my perspective on things that happen during the day. But I think, my whole life is half a life is showing up.
Awesome. And yeah, it's if I could share a little bit about that, is simply just consistency. It doesn't seem that a lot of the greatest accomplishments take a wide range of intelligence or money or some other resource. It's literally just showing up with the same mission, getting it done, being passionate about it, and eventually the world works in a fine way for those people to be rewarded. So awesome stuff. Bill, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I really appreciate your time. Die with Zero. It's, if it isn't already, it's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I think I saw one of your posts that it's up there.
Yeah.
The subtitle reads, Getting All You Can from Your Money and Your Life. Fantastic book. Bill, thank you again. I hope to stay connected, and I know that my audience is going to love this video and they're going to gain so much knowledge, and this book, they need to grab it. So we'll keep pushing it out on the page.
You got it. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.